Condor-class dropship is designed to deliver a fully equipped battalion of infantry onto the battlefield. The ship masses 4,500 tons and has accommodations for 360 personnel, including the ship's crew and 20 support vehicles. In addition, it also has a pair of cargo holds, each capable of storing up to 200 tons of equipment and supplies. The Condor is the largest dropship designed purely for the transport of infantry. It is also one of a few dropships with an aerodynamic lifting body. The Condor's wings are extremely sturdy, more so than these of other ships. As a result, the Condor is less susceptible to damage than any other aerodyne vessel. Roughly 17% of all hits that would damage other ships' control surfaces have no effect on the Condor. Within the large cavity of each wing is the ship's fuel tankage, most of the avionics, weapons bays, ammunition storage and massive landing gear. An access corridor crisscrosses the interior of the wings and leads into the lowest deck of the main hull. When the ship is under acceleration or resting on a planet's surface, it is difficult to walk the passageways because of a steep angle of the wings. The main body of the Condor class is divided into 5 decks. The lowermost deck contains the ship's interplanetary transit drives, which can provide the ship with up to 1.6 Gs of acceleration. At the aft end of the deck is a large open area used as a troop ready room. Troops are moved into this area one company at a time for deployment onto a planet's surface. Access to Deck 2 is through a large 20-ton capacity cargo elevator that has enough room for a single heavy vehicle or a platoon of infantry. A locked access door leads into the lower engine section. Located at the aft end of the second deck are the Condor's two 200-ton capacity cargo holds. Each hold has enough room for up to 10 light vehicles and measures roughly 20 × 25 meters. In the forward position of this deck are the barrack-style quarters for some of the ship's troops. Also located here are 2 mess facilities, a recreation room, a training bay, and food storage. At the far forward end of this deck is the ship's forward weapons bay and ammunition storage. Access to Deck 3 is through the main lift, which runs from this deck up to Deck 5. Deck 3 contains another portion of the troop bays. It also has its own mess facilities and recreation rooms, but lacks its own training area. Troops must use the offloading holding area on Deck 1 for this purpose. In place of a training area, this deck contains a large medical facility that can handle 6 emergency cases simultaneously. The rear half of Deck 3 contains half of the ship's engine core. In the nose is the ship's deep space radar. Deck 4 houses the remaining troop bays, as well as a mess hall, recreation room and training bay. This deck also contains quarters for the battalion commander and the battalion staff. Each room is single occupancy and very tiny. The back half of this deck contains half of the engine core. Located at the top of the ship is the crew deck. At the forward end is a cockpit-like bridge, the computer, flight control systems and communications gear. Behind this are the crew's double occupancy quarters, a small mess facility, a tiny lounge and a small conference room for use by the battalion staff. The rear half of this deck contains the ship's power plant. A heavily shielded corridor passes from the crew section to a small weapons bay located in the rear of the deck. Though the Condor's wings are crisscrossed with structural bracings, they contain a great deal of dead space. This space can store as much as 10 tons of extra equipment and supplies, but this is rarely known outside the Condor's crew. They seldom talk about this section, so that it will remain a good place to store things in an emergency. Like many troop carriers, the Condor features a merely adequate weapons array with a single PPC, LRM-15, AC-5 and twin medium lasers mounted in the nose. With an AC-5, 2 large lasers and 2 medium lasers carried in forward-facing mounts in each wing. A single large laser and 2 more mediums ward the rear, while 4 tons of autocannon ammunitions and 3 tons of missile reloads provide reasonable endurance during combat. Variants. In 3054, Nimakachi Fusion Products Ltd. began to produce a refitted Condor that features newly recovered weapons technology. The original design's nose-mounted PPC was replaced by a PPC with extended range, and the large lasers in the wings and nose were replaced with extended range systems as well. Nimakachi also added an Artemis IV fire control system to the nose-mounted LRM system. Initially, the proximity of the LRM to the PPC caused the Artemis to malfunction whenever the PPC was used, but models launched after November 3055 have a special coolant circuit that solves the problem. The Dove. The years since the Fourth Succession War have also seen a number of Condors converted into hospital vessels, with treatment wards replacing the cargo bays. Although the capacity of these craft is limited to 150 patients and 75 medical staff, they feature greatly expanded operating theaters that allow up to 10 surgeries to be performed simultaneously. About 24 of these hospital ships, nicknamed Doves, are known to exist. Comstar possessed 12 of these, and the rest were distributed among the fleets of the successor states. The Stork. Prior to the upheavals of the Word of Plague Jihad, Nimakachi was scheduled to release a purpose-built civilian cargo-carrying version of the Condor, to be named the Stork. By 3079, the Stork was in production at their Dalton factory.